how many housewives are there that, oh shit, the credit card bill's going to come in and he's going to see my Botox and filler appointment for 3 grand. I got to give him some head tonight. Like it happens all the time. Welcome back to Muse on the Mic. I'm Riley.
And I'm Emily. Thanks for joining us yet again on an amazing episode of Muse on the Mic. We've got such a funny one today, and yet so relatable to our industry and all the people that we meet. So, Riley, tell everybody what we're doing today, and then we'll plug the Patreon and tell everyone what to follow.
Okay, we're going to jump in and react to a video that we're going to watch with you guys. It's from Smosh, and they are reacting to a Reddit thread. So let's take a look.
I can't wait for this one. It's so good. It's so interesting and a super fascinating topic. But before all that, everybody has to head over to Patreon, patreon.com/Muse on the Mic, and give us a follow over there because you get so much extra content over there. So not only is you can come to YouTube to see Monday's episodes, but every Wednesday we drop an extra episode, and Sunday nights you can tune in for some really spicy stuff with Riley for just the tip at 6 p.m. always on Patreon. And all our social media is in the caption below. So make sure you give us a great big follow and follow the YouTube channel because it's slow growing, but we're growing, girl. We've had a good month in July. I'm excited. So the more subscribers, the better. Share the channel with all your friends. Let's dive into this video.
This is a 42-year-old man. I paid my wife, who's 42, for sex. This seems like
Thanks for looking direct.
Amen.
Because you
did.
You guys are sitting there laughing, and
I paid my wife 42 for sex.
I'm like,
I feel like I gotta get out of
here. I wanted to see
here.
your reaction to it. Guys, we're gonna get through 4 stories in this one.
Sorry.
Okay, this comes from relationship advice.
Okay.
I, a 42-year-old man, paid my wife, who's also 42, for sex. This seems like a terrible mistake, but I can't tell how bad yet. Okay. I've been married to my wife for 14 years. We have 2 daughters, 8 and 5. For the first few years, we had a good sex life. Then it dropped back significantly. She stopped instigating and would decline if I did. When I ask, she has several reasons she rotates through. We're too old, nobody has sex very often, or she's too big now.
Nobody?
People don't have sex anymore.
It's true. I never have.
Nobody has sex. She gained a lot of weight, and I know it bothers her, but I can't say which came first. She always seems to believe we've had sex in the last week or 2, even if it's been 6 months. Since the kids were born, we have sex 3 or 4 times a year, usually twice around Christmas and once or twice in the spring and fall. It's the same every time, the way she's decided it should be. I rub her back and neck. She gives me a couple squeezes and tugs.
Oh, I'm loving this.
Hold on. Let me read this. I rub her back and neck. She gives me a couple squeezes and tugs. I go down on her because it's the fastest and most reliable way for her to have a couple orgasms. Then she lays on her back impatiently while I climb on top. It's not ideal. This Christmas, I got her a small gift she really appreciated. Afterwards, when we had Christmas sex, she went down on me briefly, which she hadn't done in years, and asked if there was anything else I wanted. I asked if she'd get on top and wear lingerie. She said it wasn't that nice a gift. I told her I'd get her 2 more. She wanted something else instead, and we ended up naming a dollar amount. At the time, I really didn't care that it was weird or might have repercussions. A few days later, she mentioned something expensive she wanted to buy. I gave her money for it, and that led to her cheerfully giving me the first blowjob I've had in years. It's continued happening since then. Part of me is thrilled. I like that we are having sex. I like that there is variety, and I like that I get input into what we do. I've been in a really great mood all year, and so is she. On the other hand, it seems like this is probably offensive and insulting. It seems like I'm too close to the situation and am heavily influenced by the fact that I've had more sex this year than in the last 3 combined. Am I being paranoid, or is this going to blow up in my face?
You know, if I just feel like if I was sitting on the couch with anybody else or if it was any other video, I would be more logical, but I can't help but be like,
Christmas
this is
sex.
awesome.
Christmas sex. He's just like, I went down on you. All right, let me climb on top. She's like, is it over yet?
Like,
It's Christmas. It's Christmas time.
But maybe because she's like getting presents and that makes her horny.
She loves
She's
money.
got a little material kink.
She's a material.
She's a material queen,
Girl.
a material woman. Seems like I really thought you guys were gonna get mad.
No. I'm a little baffled by this story.
She was like, da 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 da. All right,
get over here.
Okay, so he's asking for advice now.
What is he asking for?
He's asking advice if this is good, if this is like right.
He's got what he wants.
And you're happy and your wife is cheerful, keep paying her. Give her all the money you can if you're having a good time. As long as it's just not on Christmas all the time.
Oh my God.
I don't think it's just, no, he's saying throughout the year.
Yeah,
like,
Christmas came early. It came.
No, like this is like now their regular thing. That
She's like,
yeah.
all the time he's like, I want sex tonight. I go shopping with you.
Yeah.
And then later,
pay your
they
wife.
fuck. Okay.
Hell yeah.
I mean, I genuinely think it's
awesome.
It's a material thing. She wants to be a little sugar baby that like turns her on.
Yeah, maybe that does turn her on.
Which is, if he feels happy to provide that for her, I guess it becomes mutually beneficial.
Okay, what I'm thinking is like, okay, if they both agree on this, if they're both consenting to this situation, then fine. I think that it's like they're not solving the issue here necessarily.
No, definitely not.
Some comments here. I don't necessarily disagree with what is being said, but should we also think about how OP feels in all of this? What does he actually want from the sex he gets? Is it just the act of sex? Does he like to feel attractive, to feel desired? Because this dynamic might not lead to the outcome that OP actually wishes for. Even though sometimes he might feel like beggars can't be choosers and accept what little he gets, if it doesn't actually align with what he is looking for, it might actually be counterproductive over time. OP responded, in a perfect world, sure, I'd like to feel attractive and desired and a connection and all that. But honestly, I'm not that deep, and sometimes a blowjob is really, really awesome.
I'm dead. Okay. You bring in logic that kind of grounds us, and then it's like, of course, there's.
He's like, actually, no, I don't want a connection. I want a beat.
He's like, this is whole like lengthy paragraph of like, yeah, one day maybe I can be attracted, but I really like when my sucked.
Wow.
Look, if I met
you say it like that.
If I met this couple
wrong.
and they were just like, no, this is our situation, we're fine, I'd be like, all right.
Oh, poor guy.
Another comment, money is sexy. Motherhood, not so much. It sounds like fantasy role-playing has reignited your marital sex life. Yes. A lot of people commenting aren't married and don't understand how being with someone a long time can sometimes lead to, shall we say, exploration. This sounds like a harmless form of a kink. Healthy marriages definitely can and do feature sexual exploration. Someone said, take it as a win. Start dating her again. Make sure to compliment her often. See if this is the start of something good. I do agree with that. That's what I mean. Like, if this is like a mutually agreed upon thing that's like, but I think they're falling into it without like acknowledging what it might be.
Sure.
I definitely think it's a new kink. I think that they're unlocking something and they're exploring. And I'm happy for them.
Totally.
Yeah. My God.
I think we can put like a healthy label over it too, and that like it very well just might be her like she just wants to actually be like a little spoiled. She's like, I want to feel like I'm valued, and sometimes the way that I get that is through gifts or being taken out, and that's how I feel loved. So then I can come home and love you.
What I think is like, look, I can't relate to this story, but like I think.
You don't like Christmas, Shane?
I hate Christmas. No, but like I think these people clearly didn't have like conversations about sexual attraction and desire and like what turns them on. I don't think they've sat and like communicated this. Mm-hmm. So they just didn't have sex for years. And now it's suddenly like they probably could have gotten to this a lot sooner. By being like, what would we like to explore? Because you know, I think a lot of married couples just kind of give up. Like,
it's clear they did not talk about what their desires are.
No,
it's like I just want to be a BJ.
It's interesting because, like he said, it's over time, right? So it's like maybe in the beginning they were getting a little bit of that like early relationship dating, paying separate kind of thing, but then eventually when you're married. Your finances, they group together. Your bank accounts group together. Yeah. And she started to be like, oh, well, I'm actually I'm not feeling like paid for in any way. And that's the way that I like it.
And maybe when they first started dating, he like really took her out. He bought her things. So maybe because motherhood it does chemically and physically change you as a person. So I've heard. And I feel like she wanted to have a spark without realizing it.
Yeah.
Human beings are just fucking figuring it out.
And we just want BJs.
The way this guy wrote this story.
Oh,
makes
it's
me
insane.
He's so nonchalant.
She gives me some squeezes and tugs, and then I climb on
I
top.
wanted more.
Where is she tugging?
He needs to
And
write.
where is he squeezing?
He needs to write erotic fiction. Like he needs.
Cowboys?
I don't know if I
The
would.
Cowboys.
I don't know if I would describe that as erotic.
Squeezes and tugs, I climb on top.
It was actually the driest description of sex, quite literally, that I've ever heard.
Cheerfully giving me a sweet old blowjob.
Okay. Okay.
Shane's hit his limit.
No.
He doesn't like Christmas.
No, I'm sorry. We got to move on.
Okay, well, let's move on.
Well, I'll start by saying that is completely relatable to our industry. And in my personal opinion, she is a bitch. Like, really, I get there's stresses and, marriages go through ups and downs, but you had me when she mentioned, or he asked for her to wear lingerie after receiving a gift. And she's like, the gift wasn't that great.
I love that was your opener, just coming out the gate swinging. That's so true.
Oh,
because
the one
I
part
was
that
going to
stuck
come out
with
the
me.
gate swinging too. My first thought when I watched, especially the beginning part when they're kind of laying out the details of the story, how I feel about sexless marriages. It is a trigger for me. And obviously, phases and exceptions aside, right? You have an injury, you might need some recovery time. You just had a baby, you need some recovery time. You start a new job, you might need a few weeks, right? But for the most part, and as a general statement, I find withholding sex in a relationship to be absolutely abusive and manipulative behavior, because you are withholding consciously. You're making a choice to take away something that is a vital piece of an intimate relationship, a romantic partnership, because it's the only difference between all your other intimate partnerships and friendships and relationships. You can be immensely intimately close with a best friend, with your work people, with your family, with your, friend from high school, whatever, but you don't fuck them. You should be fucking your partner, and you got to find ways to figure out what it is. So I loved that they, I guess, found a way, but I hate the whole beginning of it because it should never have gotten to this,
I mean, sexless marriages, this is like a pandemic. And I mean, we're talking, and I think generally it's men that are on the receiving end of being shut down, but it does work both ways, like you said. And I think there is contributing factors, motherhood, careers, body image, and like her confidence. And I get all of those things. But I think those should be discussion points, not like a red light, stop here, we're not doing it anymore. It's just not healthy for your relationship. Long term, I don't think you can survive.
I completely agree. I mean, you're not benefiting the progression of your own relationship, your own well-being, your own sexual health, your own mental health if you're taking that away. And again, it's a form of control. Women often use it as a behavior modification tool. If you're good, then you get a treat. Like it's really like we're not training a puppy here. It bothers me so much. And you're right, it goes both ways. I've been the victim of a sexless relationship, and it is horrible on the mind, the ego, everything from body image to how you even feel of your role in the relationship. It makes you question everything, including yourself. And that to me is the kicker. However, I do like what they stumbled upon, like new kink unlocked.
Right.
I just wish they figured it out like however many years ago, because this poor sweet man should not have been going this long. And I know it might seem strange to people, but the general rule of thumb is anything less than 6 times a year is a sexless marriage. And so he said they were doing it 3 times. And I'm like, that's dreadful. And as funny as Christmas sex was, for some people, that's the 3 times, right? It's Valentine's Day, his birthday, anniversary, or like Christmas, New Year's, and leave me alone, or only on vacation and things like that. And again, why is it so limited? Why are you limiting yourself, let alone your husband? Like,
Yeah.
how are you expecting him to be a better husband when you're taking away? It's just,
Yeah.
it doesn't make sense to me. And the problem, and yet for us, the benefit is those very men end up on our doorstep, right?
Oh, for sure.
And the entire sex trade industry across the planet would not exist if this wasn't a thing.
Yeah.
Not that single people can't come in too, and they do, but it
Yeah.
literally would kill the entire adult industry of sex trade if all of a sudden women were just putting out in their marriages.
Yeah.
It'd be earth shattering.
I think it was so wild and like poor guy, like how humble he had to be to put it out there on Reddit to say like, is this bad? Is this, am I gonna like regret this later that he's now quote unquote paying his wife for sex? But I think it's fascinating because I actually think this happens in a lot of households, just in a very different tone or presented
Mhm.
in a different way. How many housewives are there that, oh shit, the credit card bill's going to come in and he's going to see my Botox and filler appointment for 3 grand. I got to give him some head tonight. Like it happens all the time. The exchange of let me make him happy before he sees the bill for this. Or I want to go to Spain. How can I get him to say yes? And we use
Right.
sex and there's a trade-off. But in this situation, I was like, oh, this poor guy. I mean, I'm so thankful that he got to the place of he's having sex. But it's an interesting story.
It's an interesting story. It's a bumpy journey they took. And I agree. I mean, immediately when you were saying that, I had flashbacks of my childhood.
Welcome back to Just the Tip with Riley. Today, we're talking about how to level up your sex game and have her begging for more. So here's the deal. How you thrust has a massive impact on how good the sex is for your woman. And if it's done right, she will be begging for more. So today, I'm your personal wing girl, and I've got some tips for you. So let's go. So start off slow, guys. Women take time to warm up to sex. It takes time to open her vaginal opening, unlike men who can get aroused immediately. So really relax her and give her that time, and she will open up for you. If this tip isn't enough, subscribe to Patreon for the whole thing.
Now, I've mentioned a few times on the show that my parents were like the Fockers. If you ever seen Meet the Parents, they're very sexually liberal, although they were in other ways conservative. I don't know the ins and outs of what they did, but I distinctly remember times where my mom was worried about that credit card bill, or she had spent more on an activity, or even stuff for me and my brother, like our activities. I was a figure skater and a dancer as a kid, and my mom would constantly tell me, never tell your father how much your skates are, blah, blah, blah. Don't tell him how many the lessons were, and this, and how much was this, and how much was that. And around that time, they went on dates a lot more. So I don't know if that was like a thing. It was probably a play, knowing my mom was play to be like, oh, we're going to do this crazy thing on Friday night. And by the way, there's the visa bill on your desks.
Right.
I guarantee that's a legit thing everywhere, even way back in the day. I mean, for me, that was the 80s and 90s. So it's a thing. Women have always known that the exchange of power that comes to money and sex is so powerful. I mean, it is more powerful than politics power because all power is the quest for money and women. Like that's just what it is. And it's like she unlocked the code. He unlocked her kink. She's living her best life. He is thrilled with the blowjobs. I mean, I will forever stand on the hill that a blowjob can solve so many problems. And this guy is like worried about the blow up, but at the same time, he's like, at the same time, the blowjobs are happening and this is great.
Yeah. Well, and I mean, maybe this is her love language. I mean, there's 5 love languages and receiving is one of them. Maybe she wants to be a sugar baby, but on the flip side of that, does he want to be a daddy? Does that turn him on?
I mean, it's going to have to on some level. I mean, luckily it's an easy to consent to kink as long as you have the funds.
Right.
It's not like it's something weird being done to his body that he's not comfortable with or something invasive or anything like that. Personally, money's always been a turn on for me, even though I've never out loud really vocalized it as one of my love languages. I've always gone with the other ones. But having been in that very same relationship where I was also the breadwinner, there was bitterness for me at the end. And I realized after the fact that, hey, wait a minute, money's damn important to me. I was a sex worker for many years, thrilled and aroused for 8 years straight about being paid for my fanciful nakedness. Like, what was I doing not putting this as a priority? Because now, if you say sugar daddy, I say, where do I sign? Like, it's thrilling and erotic. Like, when are we going to Spain? That's all I want to know. I don't care about the ins and outs of the in between. And as much as like you and I joke, even in our personal conversations about our dating lives and what we would do for in our next serious relationship, and both of us are like, money is top of the list, right? It's vital. But that would be a very agreeable, like, dynamic for me, especially if he's dominant. If he likes being daddy and he's going to like toss me a little something at the end, suddenly, like, I need new panties. I'm wet. Not that I wear panties. But my question is, when he says he's worried, will this blow up in my face? What do you think he means by that? Because what would be the bad side of it? Like, what could be the repercussions that he's worried about? Because in my mind, I'm like, this is win-win. What are we?
Well, I mean, it's mutually beneficial, but my immediate instinct would be, is he now just in this role of paying for sex, essentially? That will it ever happen without? Will it ever be spontaneous? Or is he actually going to be desired? And it's funny because one of those comments that they read after was, is this fulfilling him? Or is he looking to feel sexy? Is he being connected with? Is he being like having desire for him? And if he's not, shame on her, because a good provider is going to step in and swoop him. Like, that's just an easy score, because if she can provide the services and make him feel all of those things, she's got him in the bag.
100%. He's already been primed to pay for it. Like, if she comes in with the role of affection, the girlfriend experience, wife is toast. There goes all her benefits. Yeah. She's got no more signing bonuses, no more nothing. Like, go to Spain by yourself, lady. The point about the desire and things like that obviously struck a chord with our industry, because we know this, right? We know men want that. That's why, as much as like mileage, what you can get with a sex worker, what you can do, or how much it costs, or what venue or location it's in, and all those little details are irrelevant when it comes down to connection. You can take someone, a client who likes one thing and a girl who is another, and put them together with a magical connection, and suddenly it's the best thing that ever happened. It's amazing how tastes can change with the right dynamic. And yet you make valid points, because they are married. They're not sex worker and client, right? So there is even more pressure to have that. And I hope for him, but I also hope for both of them that they do have those spontaneous moments. And you know what? People that are hardcore fetishists, or people that are in like a swinger lifestyle or a polyamory lifestyle, they still have vanilla moments. They still have back to basics. They still take a break. Not everything has to be a role play scene. Not everything has to involve other partners or other swapping of people. Sometimes it's just a good old dinner and a movie and some missionary sex and some cuddles. And it kind of brings them back to home, right? Like, it's like a revisiting of home base, back to basics. Let's tackle the simple things. It's why couples come into Muse all the time. Either they're experimental, want to try something, or they've been on the wild side and they're like, we want something a little more intimate, a little more, romantic and connected. And it's just a bonus that the Muse is in there kind of guiding them through that. And so I feel like this couple needs Muse around the corner from them every once in a while, because they could really revisit just the roots of their connection, because there is so much to explore once you discover this. And unlocking any kink or sexual connection or chemistry can open up an entire new world. It can be simple and basic, but I mean, having a sugar baby fetish or to be a material girl is definitely a thing. but they can take with that and roll with it. It doesn't have to be the
Mhm.
same all the time. It could be, I pay for dinner, you wear that little thing I like, you know? It
Right.
could go into simple things. It could evolve into big things. Maybe it's not just a trip. Maybe he gets really into the sugar daddy role and it's showered with gifts on the trip, and wear that little thing I like, and here's this new lingerie because you didn't like the last one,
Yeah.
and so on and so forth, where it becomes he can create his own fantasies. I mean, we have clients like that too, right? Where
Yeah.
name a price, name a request, and we'll figure out a way to make it happen. Go visit our private events episode to figure out what that's all about, right? As grandiose as you want, as long as you have the money. Hopefully, this guy has the money to keep his sex life rocking. But I agree with what he said. You know, at the end of the day, should he worry about the blow up, or should he just enjoy the and enjoy his blowjobs because he's living his best life all of a sudden? They're having sex 2 or 3 times a week from like none at all. And that is a glorious new step in a long term marriage. I think that's fantastic. Not
I
many long term
agree.
stale couples get over that hump, you know? I'm proud
I
of
do
him.
agree with you, but I feel like this is a topic that we could go on for hours about it because like
Flowers.
the psychology of it, and I'm not even that good with psychology, but I mean it stands out to me that wouldn't this hurt him at some point to think, okay, I'm happier because he mentions he is. In fact, they both are, which is
Mhm.
wonderful. But I'm happier because I've had to pay for my wife to give me attention, for her to care what I need. And I think that would internally hurt a bit. And I mean, on the other side, for her, I think if valuables are what she needs, I mean, we need to teach our daughters to be independent. Do not stay in a marriage and have to provide sex just to give yourself things. Work
Right.
hard, ladies, make your own money. I'm all for the independent woman. So I think there's so many sides to this, or like facets that we could really dive into. But I mean, the whole thing is hilarious, and the way they approached the topic was it was good.
Their reactions were great. The amount of times they
Mhm.
just buckled over laughing. I love that about just like regular civilians, because that's how they would be in our world. As soon
Mhm.
as they'd entered it, they'd be laughing the whole time because it's hilarious, the stuff we hear. But I think it's mindset. I think it's up to him to choose. Is he going to roll with, okay, I'm in this situation where I have to pay in order for my wife to pay attention to me, which can
Mhm.
be the same interpretation with a sex worker. Some clients are bitter about it. Some clients are a little bit almost buyer remorse after the fact. Or he could flip the script and put his mindset into a positive spin and say, I get to, in the
Mhm.
sense that I've wanted intimacy for my wife. I found a way to get it that not just excites me and gets me what I want, but it excites her too. And so now we as a couple get to experience this, or we get to play and experiment. Maybe there's other kinks you haven't unlocked. I mean, these are people who've been
Yeah.
married for a long time by the sounds of it, right?
Mhm.
So who knew down the line, oh, don't worry, when we're 25 years in, magic's going to happen. And suddenly, Pandora's box opens and all this like orgasmic jizz spews out. Like it can go either way. And I think it's up to him to maintain a positive outlook on it, because it's playful in a sense. It can be cheeky, it can be seductive and enticing. You can tease her all week about this present you got. You could be
Mhm.
the asshole guy that gets a big box and puts a little box and a little box and a little box, makes her open 25 boxes at Christmas, and then it's the plane tickets to Spain. And maybe she gets to do something saucy for each box she opens, or like you can turn it into really creative play instead of thinking it is a detriment. And I feel like we have so many clients that are kind of the opposite, and they're very happy once they find a provider. It helps them get through a difficult phase in their own marriages, or a single phase where they're kind of lonely or haven't had the kind of intimacy they want. If they have fetishes, to find
Mhm.
a place like Muse and suddenly, unlock a place where you can go and explore yourself without judgment, you can think, oh, I have to pay for it. Or you can think, oh my God, I found heaven. Like it really depends on how you look at it. If he tweaks his mindset, I don't think it'll blow up to bite him in the ass. I think at the end of the day, he'll be like, my wife and I found what works, and we're
Mhm.
exploring from there. They're creating bondable memories, things that will reconnect them in different ways and will keep them close as they hopefully become a little bit more comfortable to bring up other things they may like. He may have
Mhm.
kinks, he may
Yeah.
have requests, and now he
Well,
knows what it costs.
As long as they're both happy and enjoying themselves, I think, who are we to judge? Everyone's lives are different. I just hope he doesn't run out of money or lose his job.
He's keep playing those lottery numbers. Because she sounds lovely, and that means she's got lovely taste, and that's expensive.
But you even said like memories. I mean, imagine when they're like 85 and they're rocking together, and he's like, "Honey, you remember when we were 45 and I had to start paying you for sex because your sex drive was so low?" Like, you never know.
Listen, maybe that's the thing that makes her decide to go have a talk with her doctor. Maybe she's
Right.
in premenopausal, postmenopausal, and hadn't realized that it had been so long or that it was her
Mhm.
that was off a little bit. And here comes this thing that's really enticing. I mean, we know from our own research with menopause that there are dips, but there are also peaks that happen with your
Right.
hormone fluctuations, right? So you can be in raging heat all of a sudden and want to do all these things you never had any interest in before because you're like a whole new woman. I mean, put
True.
on a wig, get a fake name, and y'all can role play till the cows come home. And
Yeah.
suddenly he's got this saucy woman that he just has to throw a little change to. Again, sign me up. If he's Christian Grey, yes,
Well,
absolutely.
I
Yes.
hope if he's listening to this, because I kind of feel bad for him. At the end, like my end impression, I do feel a little bad for him. But I hope he uses it to his advantage. And let's just say she's giving him a blowjob and there is a dinner out on the table at a really fancy restaurant. I hope he actually is like, you better get it deeper in your throat or we're not going. Again, I hope
Right.
at some point he has a little bit of that power and makes her work for it. You
Well,
want to be
listen, the
paid?
play
Work.
dynamic, there's so many options, right? He can really go like Dom with it. He can really use it as a bargaining chip and he can judge her reaction. He can play light with that before he goes in deep and just judge her face, judge her body language and her reactions. Because if she's mid head and he says something like that and she doesn't like it, she's going to pull right off, look at him and be like, what did you just say? Sorry, I was just talking. Continue. Or if she suddenly just freaking barrels it, then he's on to something. And
Sure.
that's when I would start hip thrusting right on back because we are going to make you ugly spit everywhere right now, little girl.
I love
So,
it. I
so
love
many
it.
different ways. It's going to change how that dinner goes too, because I would come with instructions if I were him. Be like, here's what you're
Yeah,
also going to do. And you're going to meet me in the bathroom afterwards. I
I
would
love
roll
it.
with that so much. That Uber driver on the way home is going to see some things.
That video is so good. What a good find.
It was so good. And I love hearing people's stories. Just like what an
Mhm.
interesting way to stumble upon something that really works for them. That's
Mhm.
awesome. I mean, we
Okay.
love that, right? Whether it's clients, whether it's real life, whether it's relationships. Find what turns you on. Find what makes you want your partner and what your partner wants to like you back. And same goes for your providers. There should always be a bit of mutual interest, mutual chemistry. And I hope the wife really rolls with it too. I hope she gives him everything he desires if he's paying up as he should.
That's so good.
I love it. That was a great one. I think we should check out Smosh a little more often because they got some funny stuff.
Very cool.
I love it. All right, guys. I think that wraps it up. Make sure you like the video, share the video, of course, and follow all of our social media. Subscribe to the Patreon because we will see you guys over there for the next one. Bye, guys.
Bye, guys.